All Things Black with Garland and Calvin present Fanboys. Fanboys is a weekly breakdown of the sports world from a fan's perspective. Now, here are your hosts, Garland and Calvin.
All Things Black presents Fanboys. I'm Calvin. The dancing guy over there is Garland, looking like Tyrone Biggums. We just talking about the land of the zombies, and here he coming looking like Tyrone Biggums.
You got some crack.
What's going on, Garland? How you doing, man?
I'm feeling good, man. It's been a busy night and all. Wife was a little ill, but she's doing well. And just been running around trying to take care of her, make sure things are straight, man. But what about yourself? How are you?
Doing well. My wife is on the other end. She at the mall, walking around the mall. She got a step challenge going on like twice a year.
We're going to talk about this in a minute because Calvin was really going in at the CIAA. We had something. Katrina was out doing some spending. I don't want to put him on blast. So,
bruh,
be true.
What are you doing? But no. She gonna be spending the day, but every like 2-3 times a year, the job does a step challenge to motivate the employees, and they get like gift cards and stuff. So she done won like so many of them. So now she, when you the Usain Bolt of the step walking challenge at your job, you never want to give it up. So she walking across the line like you Usain.
Right.
Just winning and shit. So that's what she doing now. But she gonna come back with some. Now she got the Apple Watch, but the fitness app and all that. But she gonna come back with some bags. That's her thing. She gonna come. I'm gonna look up in the camera, and she gonna be toting some bags in. And so anyway, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, come get this box from Aldi's for you.
But look, so she not even like that. My wife is one of them. So you just gonna watch me bring in all these bags by myself?
She come in just looking at you like you crazy. Like
I'm supposed to.
I know you heard me pull up.
Exactly. As soon as she pull up, I'm supposed to already know that there's bags in the car, and don't let her walk in the door and walk by me once. Now I might be trying to get my shoes on to finish what I'm watching real quick, and so walk by me once. She'll walk back the second time. So you just gonna let me bring all these bags in by myself? Like you'll. And then if I go out to get the bag, she'll be like, I got them now. I'll be like,
too late.
Anyway, man, let me leave my wife alone. You gonna get me? It's only Saturday. You gonna get me in trouble all weekend and stuff. What we got going on today?
Oh my God, yeah. We're gonna talk a little bit of CIAA tournament. We're gonna talk some NFL. There's a report that was on ESPN.com about the tension between Lamar and the Ravens. They've made some staffing changes. Your boy Aaron Rodgers, he's like that raccoon that was in the dumpster. That meme, he's out of his darkness retreat. Shady McCoy is really shady. I think he's player hater of the year.
Dude.
Yeah, I think some NFL franchises, they figured out how to get around the Rooney rule because, they don't want to hire black people. We're going to talk a little NBA. And then we're going to have our Come On Yos. And so let's go ahead and jump into the CIAA tournament. And so for the second year in a row, Baltimore City is hosting the CIAA men's and women's basketball tournament. Founded on the campus of my alma mater, Hampton Institute, which is now Hampton University in 1912. The CIAA is the oldest African-American athletic conference in the United States. The 12-member institutions reside primarily in central portion of east coast of the United States, the states of Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia, North Carolina, and South Carolina. Since the majority of the members are in North Carolina, they moved their headquarters to Charlotte, North Carolina, several years ago. Now, on Tuesday night, the VIP on this phone call, well, not on this phone call, on this broadcast, Calvin, he's like one of the big wigs in the city with one of the local tourist organizations.
I'm absolutely not.
He is. And so y'all should see how he was balling. He was coming in like the king. People like, oh my God, Calvin, I didn't know you were going to be here, Cal. And, like, oh, I love you so much. And, he was talking to another big wig who runs another quasi-city government agency. And she's like looking like we're like feet away. And she's like, oh, wait. He was going to leave me, y'all, but we'll get into that in a minute. And so
It
the
is not like
VIP
that.
on this broadcast, he had tickets to the Tuesday night games, and so we went down, watched two games. One female game, I think it was Virginia State versus Livingston, and then the men's game that was after that. They were running a little bit behind schedule on Tuesday. It was Bowie State versus Shaw, and so it also gave us a chance to see the work. If you're local in Baltimore, you know that the arena where it's held is now known as the CFB. Is it CFB? Yeah,
CFG Bank.
CFG Bank Arena. Before that, it was known as the Baltimore Arena. Before that, it was known as the Civic Center.
Civic Center.
I graduated.
No, before that, it was the First Mariner Arena, and then before
Mariner.
that, the Civic Center. Yeah,
it was the Civic Center. It was Royal Farms Arena. It's been a couple different iterations. And if you've graduated from college locally, you had your high school graduation there, and a lot of the major concerts have come there. I saw Public Enemy there. So, I mean, people seen a whole bunch of other acts there and stuff like that. I saw Farrakhan there as well. And so it gave us a chance to see this renovation work because there's a partnership between the city and 35 Ventures, which is a development group that was founded by PG native Kevin Durant, NBA player, and his partner, Rich Kleiman, in partnership with the city to manage the former Royal Farms Arena. And so just overall, Calvin, what were your thoughts? I know you went a couple more days as well. What were your thoughts about the CIAA, the tournament, the arena, what's happening for the city and what's happening for HBCU sports?
Well, first, I'm glad you weren't there the next night because I got to talk to one of the heads of the development at the arena. She came and sat with us for a little while. She actually used to work with the Ravens and the Orioles, so I know her. I know her pretty well.
Director, though. We're gonna talk about that in a minute.
But it's just relationships I've made being a nice guy at my job. That's all it is. I don't have any type of power or influence. Nothing. Don't believe that hype. None of that. None of that. I'm a nice guy.
You remember when they used to call me Batman? Nah, HNIC.
I'm a nice guy and I value relationships with nice people. And if they just happen to be powerful, that's a good thing. But no, man. So it's actually, you mentioned the second year. It's actually the second year that it's physically here. It's really the third year that we've had the contract, which normally is the last year, but the first year was a pandemic year. So everything had to shift online. The teams didn't come up and play. But we were kind of hosting the online portion of the tournament. This was supposed to be the last year, but due to the pandemic, we asked if we could get one more year. But because of the success last year, which was actually just moderate success, they extended it to 2026. So we actually have it almost a whole nother 3-year contract. So it's a great thing for the city. It's bringing money into the city. It's bringing exposure into the city. And it's also helping a lot of small businesses, a lot of Black businesses. We try to focus on some minority businesses, whether it's restaurants and shops. It helps the economy downtown Baltimore. It also puts Baltimore in a different light. And of course, the negative is always going to outweigh the positive when it comes to stories and reporting. But people that are coming up, and because of the nature of my job, there are certain shifts that we all have to dedicate ourselves to and work and just, meet the guests that are coming in from the different schools or different areas just to be part of the tournaments. And it's always positive feedback. You all are so nice up here. And of course, the comparison to Charlotte, even some of them admit it's a little unfair, but it was in Charlotte so long, you can't help but to compare. But they seem to enjoy themselves. So it's much bigger this year than it was last year. And of course, that's what you expect since last year was the first physical tournament that we've had, and it'll probably get even bigger. As far as the arena goes, it needs some improvements. But what I did find out was that because of the contract that we have with CIAA, they had to make a quick turnaround just to get that together, which I thought they did a good job, but it is still technically under construction. So after tonight's championship games, I believe the girls' championship game is the final one for this evening. And after that game, they're immediately going to break down everything, the risers, the court, and they're going to begin the construction again, because I believe the next thing they have coming is I want to say the Bruce Springsteen concert. I
Yeah,
can't
that's
quite
right. That's
remember.
right.
But yeah, so they're going to get prepared for that, because by the time that concert comes, they want everything to be up and running. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a little, the seats are a little more comfortable than they were. Well, they're still a little more comfortable than they were
For our
from the
hips.
original. Now the rows probably could use some more leg room. I did mention to the girl, I was like, where are the cup holders? We were all like,
Yeah,
where are the cup holders?
where you gonna
But
put your henny?
exactly. But overall, it's improved from what it was. It's probably not top notch, and I'm sure when you go other places, they do have a different viewing platform. Usually when you went to the what we call the main concourse of the arena, you would have to walk through the doors. Now you can actually see from the main concourse. So let's say you're out and you have to want to go get something to eat, you don't have to stand there in the aisle and look and wait until a break. You can literally go out and go to the area. Now your back is kind of to it, but you can still turn around and check the score, check the highlights from the scoreboard or something. So overall, I think it's decent. We'll see how it works out for concerts. It's always going to be about sound quality and comfort of the people attending there. But for this first run, I think it did what it needed to do.
Yeah, it was giving off a vibe of we're not quite done yet. And
Right,
so,
right,
because I was looking around, was like, okay, they just painted this joint. It's still
right.
look, and the seats are different, but it's pretty much still look the same to me. And so I was like, okay, I know they're supposed to be taking out the stage and doing some different things. And so I would love to get back in there after they've really completed the job. Um, I was, I'm not mad. I liked the concession. I didn't want to pay. I was a little upset. I had to pay almost $30 for a chicken sandwich, a soda,
Yes.
and some fries. That was Kevin, KD. Come on, fam.
That was
All
rather
right,
expensive.
that was rather expensive just for a sandwich, some fries, and a bottled soda, not a fountain
Yes.
soda. And yeah, that joint was like
Now,
$29.
I don't know if you noticed. So the side we were on, that's where the chicken sandwiches was. On the
Mm-hmm.
other side, there were fries, hot dogs, and all, which were a little less expensive. They actually had
I
like
guess so.
a bucket of fries almost, which was like $7, which seven
Oh,
dollars is high, but it was
yeah.
quite a big bucket, and the fries were actually really good. One of the
Yeah,
things
some of the
that
fries was
when you go to
decent.
places, yeah, that the food is usually it's eat edible, but
Right.
it's not always the best. These fries were actually really good, and I thought it was just me, so I made sure the wife tried some. Jay came the next day, so he got
Okay.
some, gave his cousin some. We gave a few people some, and
Right.
everybody was like, no, these fries are actually really good. And for a $7 bucket, we were like, this is the one thing that's really worth the money for the food.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know about you, food is a big deal for me, and I guess
Oh
it's
yeah.
the parent in me. When you take your kids places, kids
You
want
want it to be
everything.
cost effective. Yeah.
Exactly, kids want
Mm-hmm.
everything, so you got to buy the food. But no, it was that the food, the fries were actually pretty good. I was going to get a hot dog, I didn't get it. Katina got a pretzel, and she said the pretzel was actually good. She let me try it, and it didn't taste like a normal pretzel.
Okay.
It tastes a little
Okay.
different, but it was okay. But the food prices are just, yeah, it's a little outrageous.
Yeah. Yeah.
You could get just in comparison to like Raven Stadium, for the price that I did pay the $30 for the chicken sandwich, the fries, and the soda. For that $30, I could have gone at Raven Stadium. I could have actually gotten like a little crab cake platter. Their crab
Oh
cake
wow.
platters are like $30. So,
Right.
but
Yeah.
yeah, it
Yeah.
was.
But overall, facility, we understand you're still working on it.
Mhm.
The game, it's Division 2, and so
Is it even two? It
it,
felt like Division three and a
it
half
felt
almost. That
it
Bowie
felt like
game.
high
Oh my
school.
gosh,
Yeah, the
that
Bowie game
Bowie.
was
The
hard.
girls'
It was
game was
hard.
good. The girls' game
Yeah,
was good.
it got real exciting, but the Bowie game versus Shaw, it was kind of like yikes. But yeah, it was it's really for us, and I've I've talked about the fans of HBCU sports. We're there for the party. So
Hmm.
people really weren't paying no attention to the game. We like, it's the step show. It's, oh, Karis one is going to be a Rams head tomorrow. So it's not necessarily about the product on the court. But overall, I thought it was a great thing. Got to see, like I said, Calvin know people, and so the CEO of the group that he works for, he happened to be coming down, and so Calvin's like, hey, Al, hey guy, Al turns around like, oh, it's the boss, coach. He start bowing. I'm like, okay, I know who the real CEO is of the
First of
joint.
all, I only call he calls me coach because I ran
That's
the
right, coach.
job
He called you coach, not coach.
softball team and kickball team, so he calls me coach. But
He's like, coach.
I know you're not talking about recognizing anyone because throughout the game, y'all know the little cheerleaders would come out, and when they're finished, they just throw a wave up there. Every time I look over, Garland waving back. I'm like, what are you doing? He's like, they waving at me. I was like, that, sir, they're not waving at you.
I was
I
like, hey.
I know Garland ain't talking about recognition. At least the CEO knew who I was. Them girls was probably looking at you like, who is that dude waving at us? Y'all know him?
I'm like, hey. Hey man, if my mother-in-law thinks that the guy in the Tyler Perry show is seeing her through the TV, those young ladies can see me all the way from the court.
Man, he just kept waving. I could not stop laughing. I was like, who are you waving at, sir? Hey, but it was, it's a
It
good
was a good
time,
evening.
and
Good
I
time.
encourage everyone to go down. There's you mentioned the KRS-One show. Of course, there's going to be day parties and parties that
Right.
are not sanctioned that a lot of people go to, but
Mm-hmm.
even the sanctioned parties. I know Rare Essence was down Rams Head last night, and if you're PGDC and go, and that's a little southern for most of us. People love that. FanFest is the big thing that's going on. That's where the step
Mm-hmm.
shows are being held. That's where
Was
a
that
lot of
last night?
it was yesterday evening and today. So it started, I believe, today at 8 a.m. It goes from 8 to 8 today.
Okay.
That's where, and it's
Okay.
free to get in there. Now, some of the events like the step show, you have to buy tickets for, but it's free to get in FanFest. They have vendors in there, some small businesses and all. I know Wendy's is actually in there.
Okay.
Bunky and the Park Heights crew were in there doing a little dancing and stepping. Reginald F. Lewis Museum has a lot going on. So if you didn't get to go this year, which I don't know why you wouldn't at least venture down there, and I'm going to talk about you later, make sure you attend some of these activities and events next year. I mean, it puts our city in such a good light, and don't miss out on it,
Yeah.
especially if you're one of them ones that there's never anything for us to do. Don't miss out on it.
Yeah, definitely. We don't get these things downtown often.
Exactly.
We can't name no black clubs downtown.
Exactly.
All the venues we used to go to, they're gone. And so, yeah, let's take advantage of those things. All right, man. Let's go ahead and transition. Talk a little bit of NFL, and let's start off with your boy Lamar. Now, on Thursday, ESPN.com published a report by Jeremy Fowler and Jamison Hensley entitled "Lamar Jackson, the Baltimore Ravens, and an Awkward Year in Limbo." The article dives deep into the past season efforts by the Baltimore Ravens to try and negotiate a new contract with Jackson, and several particular things stood out from that article. One was the management, coaches, and players all thought that Jackson would return by the playoffs, but as the team got closer to the wild card game against the Bengals, it became apparent by his absence that he was not going to play, and so there was a thought inside of the team that, hey, he's going to be ready and he's going to show up when we need him the most. But that just didn't happen. As the rumors began to swirl that Lamar was upset about the Ravens not meeting his contract demands and he was using his injury as an excuse not to play, the team was totally surprised when he tweeted about the severity of his injury. And as a result, Jackson did not attend the final game, the wild card game in Cincinnati, and only returned to the castle to close out to the 10 closeout meetings and to clean out his locker. Also, according to a source with knowledge of the contract negotiations, all of his counter offers to the Ravens last year were for fully guaranteed contracts, but Stephen A. Smith said that was not true because someone from Lamar's camp reached out to him. But according to the article, they're saying that all the counter offers that Lamar made were asking for fully guaranteed contracts that exceeded that of Deshaun Watson's contract in Cleveland. And as the season began, it appeared that Lamar had made the right bet on himself, and it was working. But as the season progressed, his play dipped, and the offense struggled all the way up to the injury versus Denver, where he didn't play for the rest of the season. And so my first question to you, Calvin, is which tag designation should the Ravens use for Lamar? Should they use the non-exclusive franchise tag, where prospective teams can submit an offer sheet if they're willing to relinquish 2 first-round picks to acquire Jackson in a deal? Or should the Ravens use the exclusive tag, which is set at $45 million? We've been hearing a lot about that, and unless the Ravens control the trade terms.
Yeah, so it should absolutely be the exclusive tag. Now, if for whatever reason they throw the non-exclusive tag on him, then as Ravens fans, you absolutely know that they want to trade him. They don't want to even continue negotiations. So it should absolutely be the exclusive tag, because you do want to control the rights, because you do want to have the opportunity to still sign Lamar. Now, I will say, we always get reports and we want to know who to believe and who not to believe. I told someone earlier, if it's reported by Jamison Hensley, there's a very, very good chance that there's quite a bit of truth behind that. Over the past long time, I'm not even going to put a number of years, he's been the Ravens reporter at ESPN, or the AFC North reporter rather at ESPN.
And West Baltimore Sun as well for a minute.
Yeah, he's and his reporting has always been accurate. Now, with that being said, when you talk about tension, we may want to take that with a grain of salt, because I think we all were a little disappointed that Lamar, number one, didn't play in the playoff games, and number two, didn't go with the team to Cincinnati to at least watch the team play. But with that being said, you get upset with people all the time for decisions that they make. That doesn't mean that it's lingering tension. So I think we want to take that with a grain of salt. So again, I think his reporting is accurate, but I think sometimes the narrative, we may give it a little bit of, let me give this a little grain of salt. Because, yeah, I'm sure everyone was upset, especially because the Ravens had reported and all the fans thought that Lamar was going to be healthy to play for the playoffs. I mean, that was reported before the season was over. But yeah, I think it definitely has to be the exclusive tag. You cannot throw that. Plus, you know how I feel about if they trade Lamar. You can't just get draft picks. You have to get a ready-made quarterback and, in my opinion, wide receiver. You have to get people that are ready, because this team is ready to make a run. We can't start over from the beginning.
I agree with you. I think it's got to be the exclusive tag, and they've got to set the terms. If they get anything less than what the Seahawks got for Russell Wilson, then it's a bust. They have to get at least the same deal or a little bit more for a former unanimous MVP. There's only been 2 in the history of the league, Tom Brady and Lamar Jackson. You can't get anything less than that. And so if you're not getting 2 firsts, 2 seconds, a third, and about 3 or 4 players that can come right in and start.
Exactly. Ready starters. Yes.
Yeah, it's not worth it.
And so one has to be a quarterback. One has to be a quarterback.
Right. And we said this last week. This team is built to win now. It is not built to have a start over year. This is not a rebuild year. This is not, okay, we got to let people go because of cap restriction. No, this team is built to win now. And so you cannot just say, okay, let's go get a rookie. Let's just, start over there. That's not what this team is built for. And so you've got to get the best deal you can. And I think, they have to use the exclusive tag. Now, if they use the non-exclusive, to me, that's saying that they just know that we're not going to get a deal done.
Yeah, they just thrown in the white flag at that point.
The white flag at that point, just said, we're not going to get a deal done. Now, go ahead.
No, I was just going to say, one of the things that I've noticed about the Baltimore Ravens, and it's actually earned. So, I don't want to make it seem like a bad thing, but it's earned by the Ravens. When the Ravens talk about signing players and signing, especially their players, they have a bit of arrogance with them. And when we went into last off season and they were like, oh yeah, we know we got this 5th-year option for Lamar. We know we're going to sign him, And as the off season went on and Lamar was like, well, when the season started, I'm not going to talk about it. Our Ravens have been so good at maintaining players because they're a great organization. I mean, the organization is ran very well. So like I said, it's not a knock on them, but they're so used to being able to get what they want. Rarely do they lose very good players. It does happen. We lost Matthew Judon. You know what I mean? But it doesn't happen that often. They're really good at it. But now they're running into a guy that they have to deal with on their own. They have to deal with on his terms because he doesn't have an agent representing him. So let's say Lamar's away in Miami. You don't have an agency that you can call and get the agent who's going to be dedicated to dealing with you. Lamar deal with you when he wants to. And so now they're running into that roadblock, and you can kind of almost in their press conferences and even Harbaugh when he talks sometimes, you can kind of feel the frustration in it. You can kind of hear the frustration like, why isn't this guy doing what we're the Ravens? Like, you know what I mean? We move with that sense of arrogance. And it's even trickled down to the fans. If you read anything about Lamar's contract, you'll hear, oh, forget that guy. We'll be fine without him. We were fine without. We were the Ravens before. That has some truth to it, but to be very honest, we won't be fine without him. It may take us a few years to be fine again without him. But yeah, our Ravens organization, including the fans, we have that bit of arrogance with us where we're just like, yeah, he should want to sign with us. He owes us. You know what I mean? We all have that, and it's just not true. And Lamar's showing that it's not true. Now, it doesn't help his case that a guy like I forgot the linebacker's name that we just got. A guy like Roquan Smith comes in without an agent, plays half a season for the Ravens, and immediately signs. Like he immediately gets his deal and signs. So it doesn't help Lamar's case. And I'm going to look for what I want. But yeah, our Ravens and our Ravens fans are a little bit arrogant. We're all there. We all are. So I wish my Orioles would be arrogant.
Oh Lord! All right. So next question: should the Ravens give Lamar a fully guaranteed deal? Now, it's been reported that Lamar turned down a 5-year, $250 million contract in September that included $133 million guaranteed, which was far less than Watson's deal, but more than guaranteed figures awarded to Russell Wilson, who his contract only $124 million was guaranteed, and Kyler Murray, his contract only $103 was guaranteed. And so that's been this controversy I've seen over the last day of this talk of this guaranteed money. He was offered less guaranteed money than Wilson and Murray, which is not true from which you look at the figures. He was offered more guaranteed than them, but the Ravens are not going to go fully guaranteed contract. And so do you think that the Ravens should give him a fully guaranteed deal?
Yeah, it's so tough because if you would have asked me the beginning of last season, I would have said absolutely. But sure. It does, and you and I talked about this throughout the season. It does hurt his negotiations that he's been hurt at the critical point of the last 2 seasons, which is the end of the season and this season, including going into the playoffs. Now, we can always talk about the Ravens being the number 1 seed, both seasons moving up to his injury, but as soon as he leaves. So it's one of them, if you can't depend on him, you can't give him a fully guaranteed contract. So I've changed a little on that. I firmly believe that the Ravens should negotiate, but I think they should end their cap at $200 million guaranteed, which is still a very, very high number. But if you think about it, if he's getting 45 under the franchise tag, and you give him 200, you add another 5 to that in 4 seasons. I mean, it sounds easy to me, just add another 5 and sign him for 4 years too, yeah, it sounds easy. But I personally think they should end at 200 guaranteed. You just can't get Deshaun Watson money. You want to, but you just cannot get it, especially if you want to win, because if you want to win, that's going to it's just going to handcuff the team. And, I'm a players guy. I've always said it. You don't really owe the team anything. You get everything that you can get. But there is inside of each player they want to win. And if you want to win, I think the Ravens have to cap it at 200, which is still going to be hard for them to sign really good players off the street. They'll have to be, and they don't. I mean, we love our Ravens, but they don't draft well on the offensive side of the ball with the wide receivers and all.
At
But
least at the skill position.
yeah,
Some of the skill positions.
yeah.
Like
So
they do well at tight end and running back.
yeah, I don't think he should get fully guaranteed unless it's 200 million or below.
I agree with you. I think, and it's crazy because most of the league and most people have said this. The deal that Cleveland Browns gave Deshaun Watson was out of desperation, and it was done. That there will never be any more deals like that. Joe Burrow's deal's coming up, and Joe Burrow is not going to get a fully guaranteed contract. He's not. He's not. They've already said we're going to do the best for the team. We're going to give him as much money as we can, but we cannot do fully guaranteed because it's going to hamstring us. As a matter of fact, Cleveland Browns, they have to make some difficult decisions in the coming weeks because of that fully guaranteed contract. They're not going to be able to keep Kareem Hunt. They're not going to be able to keep some of these players on the offensive side because they're going to have to make hard decisions because most of their cap is going into the quarterback.
I think they said 25% of their cap is going to Deshaun Watson's 52. I think he's 52.5 million hitting on the cap this season.
Wow. And so, they had, it's ruining the flexibility, and the Ravens have to be able to have other players. I mean, we give Lamar all the guarantee, and then we'll be complaining about, well, how come we can't go out and get a running back? How come we can't keep this guy? How come we can't keep that guy? We're gonna have two players if they give him a fully guaranteed contract. We're gonna have Roquan, and we're just gonna have Lamar, and that's it. It's gonna be just a bunch of whatever happens.
And then Roquan would be under investigation. They might be trying to restructure his or trade him off to get someone cheaper. Yeah. Right. So it's just, and I've changed on that. I was like, he needs to. Well, I've always been like, he should definitely ask for what Deshaun got because he's a better player. But I've come to my senses and my reality. Like, with the injury history, you just can't get everything. You have to take all of that into consideration, because if you do get that money and let's say next year you miss another 5 games, whether it's the beginning, middle, or end of the season, it's just wasted money at that point. You even though we all want people to get paid for what they have done, you still want to pay people for what they are going to do, what you anticipate them doing. And right now, your most recent history is that you're not going to be there all season. So they can't really take that type of a chance if you want a winning franchise.
Okay, and finally, if you're a gambling man, I fancy to just get predictions. What percentage would you place on Lamar being the starting quarterback for the Ravens in September?
Well, I placed 100% on him being the starting quarterback because they're going to franchise him. So franchise tag him. Now, beyond that, I'm just at the 50-50. I don't know. It's hard to figure out.
I'm going to say 80.
Okay.
I think it's a small percentage. I think if they put the tag on and they get to a point maybe pre-draft that it's just like it's not going to change. This is our best and final, and he doesn't take the best and final. They've got to do something in this draft. And so I think we're going to see something in the next 30 to 45, 50 days, because you have at least 4 quarterbacks that are going to go high in that draft that you want to make a play on if you have to change. And so that's Anthony Richardson, that's C.J. Stroud, that's Bryce Young, that's Will Levis. And so you're going to have to make a decision. Do we try to package Lamar with our first-round pick to move up, to get someone who's in the top 10 to, angle for one of those quarterbacks? I don't think Richardson's going to fall all the way down to the 20s at this point. And so you're going to have to jump up because, like we said, this team is built to win now. And so you can't, if you're going to have to replace Lamar, you're going to want a Young or Stroud or one of those other two and maybe find a stopgap to come in there for that season. Let them get a year on the bench, and then you put them in and you keep flowing. But we'll see. And so I think that's going to be the telltale sign. If by April it ain't done, I think we're going to see some movement, and they're going to try to jump up to get a quarterback.
Okay.
All right. And so with that, the Ravens did make some coaching changes. They have hired longtime college coach Willie Taggart to oversee their running backs. They announced on Wednesday. Taggart is a former head coach at Florida State. Oregon.
FSU fans are killing us.
Yeah, I know.
They are killing us about this one. Like, he's just a
the head
running
coach,
backs.
y'all.
Yeah, he's just a running backs coach. Take
never
it easy.
Why people get so upset? Oh, what they're doing? He's a running backs coach, y'all.
Take
He's
it
not-
easy.
he's
Yeah.
He's not the head coach.
He has one job. One job.
He was former head coach at Florida State, Oregon, Western Kentucky, South Florida, and Florida Atlantic, which he led for the past 3 seasons before being fired in November. He had been set to join Colorado's staff under coach Deion Sanders, but instead will take on a NFL job for the first time. In addition, the Ravens also moved up to quarterback coach T. Martin. T. Martin was coaching the wide receivers last season, and he's now going to be the quarterback's coach. This is a reconfiguration under the new offensive coordinator hire of Todd Monken. And Taggart, he's going to take over for Craig Verstead, who coached the running back for the past 3 seasons. There's a thought that Craig is going to be reassigned to another duty within that staff. In addition to that, they let go their strength and conditioning coach, Steve Saunders. He's been a big issue for players. People really former players have been dumping on him since forever in terms of his methods of getting players ready, and all of those particular things have always been in question. And so, any thoughts about these new coaching moves and how maybe might correlate to Lamar?
Well, first of all, it's about time you got rid of Steve Sanders, because I mean, what were we waiting for? Like, what were we waiting for? And I'm assuming, and of course, I've heard Derek Wolf, a whole bunch of players just jump on the phone. Just jump on.
Derek Wolf really.
Yeah, Derek Wolf said he ended his career prematurely. Yeah. I'm thinking, and it could just be me, I'm thinking the J.K. Dobbins whole scenario had a lot to do with that this year. May have been the final straw for him. T. Martin. So first of all, I'm surprised they kept him on staff. Monken kept him on staff because he was a Greg Roman guy. And he got promoted, of course, which, after quarterbacks coach, next step is offensive coordinator. So they must see something in him. So I'm really interested to see what he's able to do with Lamar. Maybe they did it for continuity. Maybe Lamar really likes T. Martin. I haven't heard any reports to either confirm or deny either one of those, but maybe it's the continuity, because if nothing else, Greg Roman had a great running game, and maybe T. Martin can help, Lamar. Of course, his legs are one of his biggest weapons. So we'll see what happens. Other than that, other than the Harbaugh boys hiring their friends and exchanging people amongst each other, it's like Jim goes to John and say, hey, yeah, you should hire Taggart. He was with me, and he goes and hires him. Other than that, we'll see what happens. Harbaugh seems to like hiring his friends or people that he knows. It's, for the most part, it's worked out, but we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, the only thing that really matters is if you get inside the 5-yard line, hopefully you have either Gus Williams or J.K. Dobbins in the game, and you give them the ball. I don't care who's coaching the running backs. I don't care who's coaching the quarterback. I want the offensive coordinator to make the right call. That's all I'm asking for. Now, your boy Aaron Rodgers, he was hanging out in the dark, and he finally comes out the dark, and it's like that raccoon in that meme that was in the dumpster when they opened up the sliding door, and he's like, and so that's your boy Aaron Rodgers. He's emerged from his darkness retreat, according to the owner of the facility in Southern Oregon, where the Green Bay Packers quarterback spent the last several days and nights. Before entering the retreat, Roger said on the Pat McAfee show on Valentine's Day that he had scheduled for 4 days and 4 nights in darkness isolation and was hoping to have a better sense of where I am in life. And so Roger said he's not going to the retreat just to figure out whether he'll play in 2023 or retire. Rogers, who's 39, is under contract with the Packers for $465 million guaranteed if he plays in 2023. I kind of think he's going to play. And the four-time NFL MVP has played his entire 18-year career in the NFL for Green Bay. And so rumors are that the Packers are ready to move on from Rodgers, and they want to go with former first-round pick Jordan Love, and the Jets are interested in trading for Rodgers. Do the Packers make that trade?
I don't know. How do you move on from Aaron Rodgers? You've had Jordan Love play a few different times, and he wasn't very impressive. But does that mean he just needs to work with the first team more? He needs more continuity. Maybe play helps him. Aaron Rodgers is not going to sit. The Jets do want him, and depending on what you can get for him, maybe you do make that move. I mean, it's not unprecedented. Joe Montana, they went to Steve Young. Even in Aaron Rodgers' career, they went to Aaron Rodgers over Brett Favre. So it's not unprecedented. And if you're thinking about the future of your team, at some point, this guy's going to go, and let's be honest, he has 4 MVPs, but he's only won 1 Super Bowl in 18 years. Last year was a pretty bad year for him. They came on a little bit at the end, but they didn't get the job done, so they didn't make the playoffs. But I don't know, man. I probably, if I'm the front office of Green Bay, the only way I could keep Aaron Rodgers is if maybe he took a pay cut, but he's not going to do that. So I might send him off and see what I can get for him. You already have another quarterback in waiting, and this could be your rebuilding time. You do have young wideouts there, so that you want Aaron Rodgers to help develop, and they did answer some questions with him. So yeah, I'd probably trade him. I don't know if it's going to be to the Jets, but it's definitely not going to be in the NFC. So it could be the Jets. It wouldn't be the Panthers. I know they talked about the Panthers. Maybe even the Colts, depending on what you can get, who has a high draft. Shoot, maybe even the Texans, who has a high draft pick, who trying to give me. Yeah, exactly. Who trying to give me the highest draft picks for Aaron Rodgers? So
yeah, that's a good bargaining tool. I think that it's really Rodgers has the leverage on this, and
he does. He absolutely does.
Would love for him to stay. He can stay as long as he wants. I think sometimes, be careful what you ask for, because you just might get it. Going to New York, in the media capital of the world, with all of that pressure, it's different playing in Green Bay. Yes, he is kind of like one of the faces of the league, Rodgers, but to be in New York, to be the face of the league, playing for the Jets, that's a different type of scrutiny. That's a different type of probing. And I don't know if he, do I want to do that with my $59 million, where I can just stay in the frozen tundra of Green Bay and just basically
be protected behind Pat McAfee every week?
Right. I'm sorry, he goes to New York, he's going to be open to every major media outlet in that city. You're just not going to be able to, this is my boy, and I go straight to my boy. There's nothing in Green Bay that's going to hold you accountable, because they're all worshiping that team. They have stock in that team.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah,
I think a good point.
Yeah, I'm going to go to New York and do it. That's everybody doesn't want to be in New York. I know New York's a place, because I remember when I was in college, man. The tri-state brothers, the New York people, man. You would think no other place in the world existed but the 5 boroughs in New York.
I'm from New York, son. I'm from New York, son.
Yo, this is how we do it, son. Y'all country down here.
Nah, we wouldn't even play that in New York. I'm from the BX, son. From the BX.
What you talking about? It's Giants all day. bro. Everybody don't want to be in New York, man. I'm sorry.
You're right, and Aaron Rodgers could go up there, and God forbid he get up there and have a bad game or two. He may actually experience his own fans booing him, because if
Come
he
on.
goes to the Jets, them fans are they just those few wins last year had them excited, and
Right.
they turned on Salah at one point. They definitely
Mm-hmm.
turned on the
Wilson.
quarterback. I can't remember his
Mm-hmm.
name. They turned.
Wilson.
I don't even think Wilson can
Mm-hmm.
get another shot. Only person they didn't turn on, I don't think they turned on Joe Flacco, because what you going to turn on
Right.
him for? He just there to
Why you
fill
gonna
in.
turn on
Yeah, he
Flacco?
just did fill in.
Leave Joe Cool alone.
Yeah, so
Yeah. So we'll see. We'll see. But to me, if I was Rogers, I'd stay my honey right on up in Green Bay. I'm making that almost $600 million guaranteed, and they're gonna keep me as long as I want to be
yeah, but I think Rodgers. I don't think there's ever been a challenge that Aaron Rodgers didn't want to face. The one thing I will give him, he doesn't shy away from the media. He doesn't shy away from the controversy. Like he
there. He
will say
doesn't.
some stuff that make you be
He
like, why
doesn't.
would you even say that? Like
He doesn't.
he might
But
want that
he's a
challenge.
he's a West Coast guy though. I mean, I think there's always been the rumors he wants to go back to. He wants to. I think he grew up near San Francisco,
Hmm.
so he wants to go somewhere in California. And so to me, yeah, if I was to leave, I would want to be California, maybe even Florida, where there's no state income tax,
Hmm.
something that's a little bit. The weather's great, and this is kind of like I'm going out on a high note as opposed to I'm going to go to the grimiest place in the world where they'll spit on their mother if she don't throw no touchdown passes. They will. I'm sorry, New York is Ma, you suck. They gonna do it. They gonna do it. All right, man. Let's talk about your boy Shady McCoy. He lives up to his nickname by shading Eric Bieniemy. Now, LaShawn, he might soon be dubbed Shade instead of Shady after his latest criticism, this time targeting his former offensive coordinator in KC. And so, your boy, he's one of the commentators on a FS1 show. I didn't know people still watch FS1, but it was so. Remember when they first came out? It was this whole big thing. Yeah, we gonna take over. Man, I don't even know somebody.
They were
People still
snatching
watch.
ESPN
Yeah,
personalities, and
this person come on. We
yeah.
about to do something big. They had some Canadian guys or something. Nobody even think about FS1 no more. And so Shady, he was on the show. He was asked about Bieniemy coming, the Washington Commanders offensive coordinator, and he was critical of what he brings to the table, saying Bieniemy's success was thanks to Chiefs head coach Andy Reid. What's his value? What makes him a good offensive coordinator? McCoy asked. The problem is a lot of these people that go on social media, he should be the guy for the job. They haven't played there. I've been in the rooms where he's coaching. He has done nothing. He has nothing to do with the pass game at all. When the plays are designed, that's Andy Reid. And then he went further, Calvin. He said, when you're talking about offensive coordinators, I can tell you what makes a Brian Daboll with the Giants a very good coordinator. I can tell you about Andy Reid or Doug Peterson. But Eric Bieniemy, what makes him good? We watch the film of practices and we correct the wide receivers, the running backs, the quarterbacks. He doesn't talk in there. That Andy Reid does all the talking. Hater, hater. And so now Bieniemy, I have to give him credit. He took the high road. He didn't seem bothered by the criticism. And at his introductory press conference the other day, he had some kind words. He said, LaShawn McCoy is a future Hall of Fame runner. Everybody is entitled to their own position.
You mean Hall of Very
He said,
Good?
yeah, I don't know. The Hall of Very Good. That's what I'm saying too. When it's all said and done with it, I think it's that all I have to say. He's entitled to his own opinion, and that's life. It doesn't impact me in any way. Everything outside of these walls has no impact on Eric Bieniemy moving forward. He's already feeling good because he's talking about himself in the third person. And then Pat Mahomes, he came out. He supported the coach as well. He said, there's no question how great of a man and coach Bieniemy is. His leadership has had a direct impact on him. Jamal Charles came out and said he disagreed, that he was coached for years by Bieniemy. He learned so many things from EB. He's still in contact with him. He's a great husband and father, and he deserves to be a head coach. And so what did you think about Hader? Hater Boy Shady. And this, I think a lot of these guys, man, they go on these shows and they're just trying to make a name for themselves. If it's something that's going to be controversial, it's going to get them clicks, they're going to say That's probably one of the dumbest things I ever heard. You can't say you supporting somebody. I think because he later says, I ain't got no problem with him getting the job, but I'm just trying to, that's like saying I'm sorry, but
Exactly.
as soon as you say, honey, I'm sorry, but you really was tripping. That's why I choked you out. No, you didn't mean you was sorry. So what's your thought on BM?
I think didn't Jamal Charles also come out and say that Shady was mad because he kept telling him to tuck the ball because he was having some fumbling issues. But the
Yeah.
thing is, LaShawn, you got a ring under that guy, so chill out, B. But
Was he on that team that they got the
I
first
think,
ring?
yeah, I think
I
he
think
was
he
up.
was in, but
I
he
think
was
he
on
was
the
upset
second
he
team.
didn't start. I think he
Okay.
was not the number one the year their first round. I think I could be
Okay.
wrong.
I thought he was on the team that they lost to Tampa in the Super Bowl. But
You
go ahead.
might
I'll
be. It
look it
may
up.
be. You may be right. But so my thing is, and he could be right about everything. He could be right that what has this guy shown and done? I've worked on them. It's all about Andy Reid, this and that. He could be absolutely right. But the problem is, you're stretching the narrative a little bit. No one's saying that he's going to be an amazing head coach. We're all saying give the man a chance. You know what made Peterson and Dayball and all these other guys good head coaches? They got a chance. As
Right.
coordinators, their team showed some success and they got a chance to become the head coach. That's all we're asking for, Bieniemy. Just give him a chance. No one's saying that he's the next coming and he's going to be the great. No one's saying that. We just want him to get a chance. So for another black man to not even see that and to criticize this guy, it's spewing pure hate. Like whatever personal issue you have with him, how can you not put that to the side and just say, yeah, he shouldn't even have to go that route to get a head coaching job. He should not have to move a lateral route. He should have gotten a job. Now, what you feel about him personally, he could have even said, now if he gets up there and he messes up, then he messes up and we move on from him. But he has to get a chance. That's all that really needs to be said. So I agree with you. Are you trying to get clicks? Like what you trying to get people to watch FS1? What is it? What's your end game here? Because you sound stupid. You sound really
Right.
dumb with that
Right.
whole thing.
Yeah. It's like, if you don't really have something positive to say, if you don't really have something to contribute, it just really comes off as hate.
Exactly.
Basically, that's all it comes off as. It's like you have an axe to grind. Everybody knows you have an axe to grind, and you just sound real dumb. That's what it really sounds like.
And
You just
how do
come
you
off
not
real dumb.
think this man just deserves a shot? Like
Right.
how after all these years, how does he not deserve? What they say? He's interviewed 14 times. I mean, 16 times with 14 different teams, and still hasn't gotten a shot at head coaching.
Right.
Team has been to the AFC Championship home game 5 years in a row. Been to what three of the last four Super Bowls. Won two of them. What,
Yeah.
sir?
Yeah. It's crazy. It's crazy. Just real quick, I didn't necessarily have this on our kind of like on our agenda to talk about, but some latest news about your boy Russell Wilson. It appears that he tried to push to have Seattle Seahawks coach Pete Carroll fired before his departure from Seattle, according to a report on Friday from The Athletic. Though the former quarterback has denied doing so through social media. Now, according to the report on The Athletic, Wilson asked the Seahawks ownership in February 2022 to fire Carroll and general manager John Snyder with the hopes that the team would hire Sean Payton to be the coach. How ironic that Sean Payton is now the head coach of the Denver Broncos. In his denial, Wilson tweeted on Friday morning that Carroll was a father figure to him and that Snyder believed in him and drafted him as well. I never wanted to get them fired. all any of us wanted was to win, Wilson wrote. I'll always have respect for them and love for Seattle. And so, Calvin, your boy, they always your boy, he just can't. I think it's this good boy thing that just keeps on coming back to sting him.
Yeah.
When you're always trying to put on this facade that you're Mr. Squeaky Clean, that usually to me says that you're not, that you got a lot of with you. And it's obvious that old boy got a lot of with him because stuff just keeps coming out. Somebody got an axe to grind against your boy Russ. I don't know if they mad about him and Sierra. Maybe this is a Sierra baby daddy. He didn't put this out. Future, I don't know. Any quick thoughts on this?
Yeah, man, it's crazy. He was at one point the golden boy. What was he, a fourth round quarterback that
Yeah,
won the
fourth round
starting job
pick.
in Seattle? Wasn't supposed to be the start,
He
and
traded up on the wives and stuff.
wholesome, and well, and that's where we should have noticed because
We
he
know.
literally cheated on
Yeah.
his wife and left her for Sierra. That's where we should have noticed. But no, we were still
Yeah.
golden boy. Now, you never know a person's character, and people could be lying on them. These stories could be fabricated. But the telling thing for me with Russell Wilson is how his own former teammates, guys that he took to the Super Bowl with him, have all turned against him. Remember when Denver went to Seattle this year? They were all on the other side.
Mm-hmm.
They were all behind Pete Carroll. When we thought Pete Carroll was the problem because Earl Thomas goes out there, throws Pete the middle finger as he's getting carted out, and come to find out Earl Thomas is a piece of shit. We found that out here in Baltimore real quick. But yeah, man, it's just, it's almost like the tragic fall of Russell Wilson. Like, what is going on, sir? What is hey, but Sierra loves him, you know. I guess that's really and he's still making money. I guess that's really all that matters.
Money,
you know.
Taking care of other people's children. You know, go ahead, do your thing, Playboy, do your thing. Just real
Future
quick.
going auto tune him. Thank you. Thank you.
Be careful. Nigga trying to get people fined. Anyway, all right. And so I came across something real quick, man, an article talking on Deadspin talking about how Vic Fangio, we're in Baltimore, we're familiar with Vic Fangio.
Mm-hmm.
He was on the Baltimore staff for a minute, but we're more familiar with him when he was the head coach of the Denver Broncos. The Ravens really tried to run up the game on them. The Ravens were hell-bent on keeping their rushing for 100 yards per game streak intact. And so in the waning seconds of the game that we were winning by at least 10 points, the Ravens were still running the ball.
Fangio was hot, boy.
Fangio was very hot about that. And it's crazy because Fangio has worked for both brothers. And so Fangio was very hot about that. But if you remember, before the Super Bowl, the Eagles had hired Fangio as a consultant to help them prepare to play the Chiefs. And so he had already had a position that he had accepted as defensive coordinator with the Miami Dolphins. And the league allowed him to work with the Eagles for those couple of weeks before officially signing with the Dolphins. And so there's this thing called the Rooney Rule. You know, we've been talking about this the last couple of weeks about how really a lot of African American coaches are being passed over for these jobs. And this is one of the ways that they're starting to see that people are being passed over for jobs. You know, now the Eagles, they reportedly expressed interest in Fangio. They were thinking about hiring him as defensive coordinator because they knew the current defensive coordinator who wound up getting the Arizona job, Jonathan Gannon, would likely get a head coaching job after the Super Bowl. And so it was believed that 2-week window that he was working for them as a consultant was them basically giving him a tryout to see if they wanted to hire him for that position. I didn't know this, but the positions of head coach, general manager, offensive coordinator, defensive coordinator, and now quarterbacks coach are all under the umbrella of the Rooney Rule. Okay?
I thought it was just head coach.
Yeah, nope. It's all of those positions.
Okay.
And so there's a reason why this isn't widely reported before the Super Bowl. And so it's probably because Philly nor the NFL wanted this out in the open leading up to the game of this supposed audition for him. And so, just another way for teams to get around giving African American candidates jobs. And just wanted to put it out there. What did you think about that?
I think LaShawn McCoy helps keep that dream alive by criticizing Black coaches that get an opportunity or should be getting a bigger opportunity by just criticizing them publicly for absolutely no reason.
Agree. Now let's talk a little basketball real quick. Hey man, did you know Woody Harrelson was in the dunk contest for the NBA dunk contest?
You better leave Rockwood's peoples alone, y'all.
I did not know Woody Harrelson was in the dunk contest. Matt McClung.
Something else.
He won the NBA dunk contest last week. We talked a little bit about the NBA All-Star game. But the crazy thing about this, Calvin, is he's not in the league on any team. He was only signed to a 2-week contract or a 10-day contract by the Sixers, Philadelphia 76ers, so he could participate in the dunk contest. He's actually been playing in the G League. He's been in Europe. He's been in a couple leagues. He was in several college teams. He started at Georgetown. He was kind of like one of the first internet sensation of these high school kids doing all these dunks. He was like a little bit before Zion Williamson and a couple other people with the highlights. And some guy that's not on the NBA roster, they allowed him to come in, and all he probably practices is dunks all day. He wins the dunk contest. And so does this further diminish the dunk title and the contest overall?
I mean, the NBA Rooney Rule is clearly working in their favor. The NFL should adopt this one. I don't know. How can you diminish it even more than what it's already diminished? Like it's not interesting. And to Mac McClung's credit, them dunks were pretty good. And I didn't watch the whole thing. And from my understanding, he didn't need a second try for any of them. He should win just on that, just for not having to redo a dunk. If you get it on the first try, every dunk, you should win just for that alone. I mean,
that's all right. I'm going to go down Madison and find Lil Peanut who could dunk just as good, but he ain't on no team. I'm gonna get somebody to sign Peanut.
But Lil Peanut ain't, as long as he under the NBA umbrella, he could get him a 10-day contract with somebody like the Wizards or the Hawks, because the Wizards are actually going to make the playoffs. They're going to make the playoffs.
Right. Okay.
The Hawks won't though. But he can get him a 10-day contract. He got to be in the G League at least, and not no 3-on-3 league. Do they even do the 3-on-3? Remember they used
I'm gonna go get
travel the
somebody
country.
Out of Ice Cube League. Go get one of them old dudes out of Ice Cube League and let them win the dunk contest. Yeah, man. To me, well, I understand they can't get the marquee players to participate. I mean, I would if I was the Pelicans. I heard Zion say he wants to do it next year. I'd be like, hell no, you're not, because you can't even walk in the hallway without injuring yourself. You think you're gonna be in the dunk contest with your 400-pound self dunking? I could barely get you through a season.
Hold on. Zion dropped some pounds last year.
He's 395 now.
He's so wrong.
That was the wrong place for a big boy to go to New Orleans. He down there with that toupee. He down there eating po' boys, all that stuff.
He's
right
so
on
wrong.
bourbon.
He's so wrong.
Got that shrimp po' boy. He's down there having a good old time. Yeah, so they can't get the best players to come and do it. They're talking about maybe you do it for money. You put up $1 million person, maybe that attract people to it. I don't know. To me though, it just it cheapens it just a little bit. This guy's he's not on the team officially. I mean, he was just put on the team just for the contest. But hey,
I mean, but it made for an interesting, because of where he came from. It made for an interesting story. Now, it won't continue to make for an interesting story if G League players are always in the finals of the dunk contest. Eventually, people will be like, "Why don't they just have a G League dunking contest?" Yeah.
They should have put Bronny in it. They should have put LeBron's son
Exactly.
in it.
Yeah. It
If
made
you're
for
gonna
an
do that,
interesting story
put
this year, but it won't.
put.
It won't
They
continue.
should have brought the big French kid, put Bronny's son in there, let them go ahead and
Exactly.
scrap.
Yeah.
Now, their All Star game is just as worse as the Pro Bowl. Team Giannis, they beat Team LeBron in the All Star game, 184 to 175. That score is correct. It was basically a layup line. Jason Tatum, he scored 55 points, and he should have had 100 because nobody was guarding him. No one was playing defense. I don't really watch the game, and I guess I don't have a vested interest. But should we do away with these All Star games? They really it.
So, well, you can't do away with the All-Star weekend itself. So you got to figure out something to do to culminate All-Star weekend with some sort of game or something. All-Star weekend is a major draw for the cities. People like to see the celebrities come to their town. I mean, you don't just get the ball players, you get rappers, and these are basketball is the sport that's on the cutting edge of today's youth. It brings everything that's cool and hip about what's going on right now is centered around basketball. That's the sport that it's centered around. So it's a definite draw. It's an attraction for the city. So I don't think you can get rid of the culmination of All-Star Weekend, but you just got to find something that may be a little more interesting. I don't know what that is because the players aren't really interested in it, as you can see. And it's probably because they don't want to get hurt. And I'm sure the teams don't want them out there, playing and getting hurt and all. So you just got to find something. Or maybe you make All-Star the end of the season. You know what I mean? After they're not, something's got to be done to make to make the culmination more interesting. People are still interested in the dunk contest, even though it's not as many. People are still, but they're interested in going. They're interested in the 3-point contest, even the skills challenge. People do watch stuff like that because you're not really bogged down by watching 4 quarters of it. You know what I mean? You just watch people do a few rounds of it. So, that's something that people can get into. But yeah, the game itself is just, the celebrity game is usually more interesting to me. And even the I don't even know if they did this year, the rookie second year game, that's usually pretty interesting also. That's
game.
That's usually pretty interesting. That becomes more of a show off dunk 3-point contest in itself inside the game, but it still gets a little interesting. Plus you get to see some of these second year players and some of these rookies. You know what I mean? You start, because basketball is so long, unless you're really, really into it, you're not putting these names together. But if you watch something like that, you're like, okay, so he plays here. So now when I start hearing that, now I know who's playing with Giannis. Now I know who may be the one coming in to be the next iteration of these Lakers. You know what I mean? You can start putting some names in. So that gets kind of interesting. But yeah, the All-Star game itself, other than just seeing the major NBA stars, it's not worth it. It's not worth the time on TV to watch it.
Okay. It has been buyout season. Last couple of weeks it was a big NBA trade deadline. A lot of people moved, but it's been also some major movement on the buyout market. And after a rough season and a half tenure with the Los Angeles Lakers, the new LA Clippers guard Russell Westbrook, who was brought out of his contract in Utah and signed with the Clippers, says that he's happy to be on a team that wanted him. That he was happy to stay home with his family in LA, and that he would do whatever the Clippers needed for him to from him to win. Ultimately, the goal being a championship. And so we see Russ going there. We saw Kevin Love. He had a buyout with Cleveland, and he's in Miami. I saw him playing last night with Miami. And so does Westbrook signing with the Clippers automatically put them as the kind of contender for the Western Conference title?
First of all, shout out to Kevin Love. Let's talk about a dude that was a star and then went to Cleveland to become like the third wheel role player and stayed in Cleveland after Kyrie and LeBron left. Never demanded a trade, just kind of did his time, got his buyout and went back to another contender in Miami. Shout out to Kevin Love. Kevin Love is one of those solid NBA performers that you just have to give some respect to. So shout out to Kevin Love. I always thought that Russell should have been more of a force on the Lakers. I wanted him to come off the bench. Of course, he didn't. And you talked about Russell real bad when he was in my purple and golds. You talked about him real bad. Do I think he can help the Clippers? I think Russ is Russ, man. Like, you know what you're getting. Like, it's just, I don't know. And so, the bigger than life LeBron James shadow and then the Anthony Davis shadow that he had in LA. But you're going to a team with Paul George, Kawhi Leonard. Like, I mean, they may not be as vocal, but they are just as big stars or ball hawks as LeBron and Anthony Davis right now. So I don't know, man. I don't know where Russ fits in with that.
Just play some D, and when you get a open shot, please knock it down and pass the ball to Kawhi and PG and George and get out the way. That's all you get. That's all.
Yeah, man. I don't
be an energy guy off the bench, and I'm not expecting you to come out here and carry anything. Just come out and be an energy guy.
I hear a lot of commentators talk about they do expect him to make an impact, and the game against the Lakers is going to be a lot of fireworks. Yeah, that game might be a lot of fireworks, but what about the other 20-something games remaining in the season? Like, what? I don't know, man. I don't know.
The Lakers are going to do what everybody else was doing, just letting him shoot.
Unless, like when he went to the Wizards, he did make an impact on the Wizards, but that was just him and Bradley Beal. Right. He wasn't the third wheel because John Wall wasn't playing. Right. So I don't know, man. I don't know.
Bro, that was the most empty triple doubles ever. That was like drinking a Slurpee for nourishment.
But
whole bunch of.
But it was an impact nonetheless.
All right, man. We're at the part of the show everybody loves. Come on, yo. I think you started off last time. I'll go ahead and I'll take the lead this time. I think you might like this. Come on, yo. Subprime Sanders and racist stereotypes. I'm back on your boy again. In December 2022, Deion Subprime Sanders accepted an offer to become the new head coach for Colorado University. The choice came with a lot of controversy, Calvin, as we discussed on Fanboys. Subprime and his family are now in Boulder, Colorado, preparing for the upcoming season. But he continues to stay in the news, and it's not for his coaching or recruiting, but for running his big fat mouth. He badmouthed his former employer, Jackson State University. He badmouthed the city of Jackson, Mississippi, and anyone who challenged his decision. But now we're seeing how the man thinks. Recently, Subprime was on the Rich Eisen show during Super Bowl week and was asked by Eisen what his approach to recruiting was. And it turns out that his philosophy perpetuates a lot of racist stereotypes and often contradicts this family man image that Deion loves to portray in the mainstream media. Here are some of the gems that he said, Calvin, during his interview with Rich Eisen. Well, Rich, we have different attributes. Smart, tough, fast, disciplined with character. Now, quarterbacks are different, Sanders told Eisen. We want mother, father, dual parent. We want that kid to be a 3.5 GPA and up. But he has to be smart, not make bad decisions off the field at all, because he has to be a leader of men. Here's a second one. Defensive linemen, they're totally opposite. Single mama, trying to get it. He's on free lunch, Sanders added. I'm talking about just trying to make it. He's trying to rescue mama. Like mama barely made the flight. And I want him just to go and get it. There's a whole lot of different attributes that you look for in different positions. And we have that stuff just chronicled. We know what we want, and we go get it. It's amazing that Sanders would promote the same stereotypes, Calvin, that have kept and still keep schools from recruiting black players, particularly black quarterbacks, which led many of them to changing their positions. Now, mind you, Sanders said these words during Super Bowl week, in which history was being made because Jalen Hurts and Patrick Mahomes became the first two black quarterbacks to ever face each other in the Super Bowl. This is also stunning because Sanders, he's a two-time divorcee with children being raised by ex-wives. Based on his viewpoint, would he even recruit his own children? But there's another issue, Calvin, and that is Subprime loves to run his mouth, and he loves to pander to Mr. Charlie. And you know what I say about Mr. Charlie. His ice is colder. Now, when asked about how things are going in Boulder, this is what your boy Sanders said. I love the weather. There's no crime. And it was 4 weeks before I saw police. I stopped them myself. You can't ignore the comparison that Subprime is making between Boulder, Colorado, and Jackson, Mississippi, without even saying it. His own daughter had to apologize last month for making similar statements about crime on the JSU campus, which was proven not to be true. Now, Calvin, a wise person once told me, if you want to learn about a person, how they act, or what they believe, just listen to them. Listen to what they say. Now, there's a famous quote attributed to Maya Angelou. When someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. But I think I have a better one that fits Subprime Dion, and it's from James Baldwin. I can't believe what you say because I see what you do. Come on, yo. Dion, man. I'm done with Dion.
First of all, it is well documented recently how you feel about Deion Sanders. You called a man subprime. Let's start there. But I have to agree with you on this. What pained me the most was literally you are saying this keying with these white boys on TV. And I like Rich Eisen, I
like it.
yeah, but sir, Dion, did he even come out and say I was just joking or anything? It's just
no, because Mr. Charlie Ice is colder. Dion
so disappointed.
Is showing who he is. Give a person long enough time, they're gonna eventually reveal what they think, how they act, how they view stuff. We thought this guy was supposed to be the savior of HBCU sports. He was coming in. He was going to lift them up. God sent him to JSU. And man, everything he said since then has been a denigration to historically black colleges and the people that run them.
Yeah, it was very disappointing to hear those comments,
Yeah, but people out here caping for Dion. Oh man, Dion did this. Dion. I said and I stand by it. The TV show A Different World did more for historically black colleges than Dion Blackbutt ever did in 3 years.
Well, we still wearing Hillman shirts.
Dwayne Wayne and Whitley, two fictional characters, did more for black colleges than someone we know, a real person. We still out here wearing Hillman shirts.
Definitely out here still wearing Hillman shirts. They even wore sweatshirts of other historically black colleges during that show. Gear that people are still rocking today. So yeah,
thank God for Debbie Allen, because when the show first started, it was kind of like,
was awful.
This is a black college. It was awful.
Yeah.
Then Debbie Allen went to Bill Cosby, like, look, I'm a graduate of Howard. I don't know what black college this is, but let me get this show so I can give it some flavor.
She gave Marissa Tomei her walking papers, which was the best thing that ever happened to Marissa Tomei, because then she went on to become a movie star. My cousin Vinny and
Award,
so best thing that ever happened to Marissa Tomei.
Like, girl, I'm go ahead, go make your movies. This is so for black people.
So,
see you later.
Yeah, Dion is so disappointing. Then anyway.
That's your
yeah,
capping out here for Dion.
So my my come on yo is actually the same come on yo I had last year around this time, and we alluded to it when we first started the broadcast. CIAA is here in Baltimore, and you Baltimoreans that are always like, they don't ever have anything for black people downtown, they don't ever have, this is all black, for black. It don't get any blacker. AFRAM ain't blacker. The Martin Luther King Jr. Day Parade ain't blacker. CIAA is the blackest thing that it gets in Baltimore, and it's all week long. You got games and activities. You have empowerment seminars. You have financial seminars. So even if you don't just want entertainment, you want some education, you got president's galas and bunches. If you want to rub elbows with some of these HBCU college presidents, with some of the administrators, this is the government officials are involved in this. If you want to go places like the Reginald F. Lewis Museum, but maybe you're not in the museums, they got activities there. Styles P was there talking about healthy eating, juicing. You know, they got stuff. They have something for everyone this week in downtown Baltimore. There are so many places in Baltimore that are hard to get to. The one thing that's not hard to get to in Baltimore is downtown, because all of the public transportation runs through downtown. So you can get there. A lot of the stuff is free. FanFest is free. Like I said, you may have to pay to get into the step show, but FanFest itself is free. You'll get to meet local celebrities. Like I said, Bunky and the Park Heights Truck guys were down there last night. You know, you get to meet local celebrities. Shantae Moore was at an event singing. You had Rare Essence. If you like go-go music, Rare Essence was at Ram's Head last night. I believe Jadakiss is at Ram's Head tonight. There's so many different things going on. And for a person from Baltimore to continue to bash your city, especially this week, come on, y'all. And do I mention the weather has been nice? It was 70 something degrees the other day. I'm sorry, 80 something degrees the other day. Come on, y'all. Come on, y'all. Stop sitting back, letting the stuff go by. You have a few more years under contract, and hopefully we'll get it longer than that. You have a few more years to get down and get involved. Your friends are having CIAA events. There's they do this thing called Ditch Day Party that the federal government employees do a lot. They had one last night, CIAA themed. You can go to the new Lexington Market. They have different events there. Come on, y'all. Come on, stop sleeping on your city. Now, on the other end of that, to those of you from Charlotte, and like I said, for the most part, the people from Charlotte that I met are always, or not just Charlotte, the people that are used to going to Charlotte that I met have been overall nice. Baltimore is nice, and you know, it's a little more spaced out. It's not as congested as Charlotte was, which you like because you get to walk to everything. But some of you people from Charlotte are like, well, y'all stole it from us. You're mad at the wrong people. All Baltimore does is put a bid in along with other cities. They put a bid in for CIAA. CIAA elects where they want to go. That's not Baltimore's fault. It's Charlotte's fault, because for them to allow other cities to put a bid in, because it wasn't just Baltimore, it was Winston-Salem, it was Greensboro. I'm giving you a little inside information there, so listen up. For all of us to be able to put a bid in, for them to not even give Charlotte the first right of refusal, means that Charlotte did something to anger them. And if you were going to CIAA, you notice how the prices were getting high. The hotel prices were getting higher. One thing Baltimore made sure we did, all the hotel prices remain the same as if it were a normal day. The hotels are under contract where they cannot double and triple the price of their rooms because the event is coming, which they do for events. And it's not just Baltimore. Every city does it. When major events come to town, they increase the prices of their hotel rooms because they want to get as much money as they can and people are coming. The hotels in Baltimore that are with the CIAA are all under agreement that their prices have to remain the same. There's no price gouging. Charlotte didn't have that. Charlotte started raising prices on things. So Charlotte made them mad, and they came and looked at Baltimore, and we won the bid. So you're mad at the wrong people. Don't get mad at Baltimore. Don't get mad at us. You know, We were the
You
better.
met your mother.
We were the better looking spouse at that time. Well, not spouse. We were the side piece at that time that you decided to come to us. So, we'll be here till 2026. Holler at us in 27. We'll see what happens. But no, come on, y'all just participate in these CIAA events. It's very, very Black. You'll get to learn something, and most of all, you'll get to have fun. You have tonight, tomorrow. Everything is shutting down, so you might get a couple things here and there, but for the most part, all the sanctioned events are shutting down. Tonight is pretty much your last night for this year to enjoy some CIAA events. So come on, yo, make sure you get out there and do it.
The CIAA was like, "Can I get to the yams?"
Hey man, we had another. We had another video podcast, man. We're starting to get used to these little things. Y'all can see us. Y'all see it. Y'all see how cute the guys are. You know what I mean? We're going to have to be fighting. We're going to have to tell Paula and Katina, y'all might have to step back when we go out a little bit. Walk a little behind us. We might need to get our own. We might need to get our own security and everything. Give some security to step back, young lady. Stay back, because they're gonna be all over the old guys. You know what I mean? We look like sugar daddies too. They don't know. I mean, Garland got a little more money than I do, but that's like 50 cents more on that $100. So I got 100. Garland got 150 cents.
I got stevia. I ain't got no sugar. It's stevia, daddy.
Oh, listen. I might get fired for this, but you got stevia. I'm stealing I'm stealing Splendor from my job. I'm grabbing, when I get 2 packs for my coffee, I take 4 and bring 2 of them home.
I'm sweet and low, daddy. I'm giving you cancer. Stay away from me, girl. Overuse me. Sweet and low, daddy.
Hey,
I'm in the pink wrapper.
Hey man, make sure y'all listen to this. Those that can watch it, I know you can see it on Spotify. I am putting it on YouTube also. Make sure you comment. Let us know how you feel. If you got some questions, please jump in and ask us. Also, rate and review it on all of the other platforms. We definitely are looking for the engagement. Make sure you join us Tuesday. I think we're going to come back Tuesday with BMF, but snowfall has started. We might be doing double duty Tuesday. We might just be, we might be doing. What's going on, Lay? We back, Lay.
Going on, Lay? Uncle Rome.
We back, Lay.
Rome, they beefing last week. Lay. How long we back up, Lay?
Make sure you join us. You'll find that on our Facebook page, on our Twitter page, and you'll be able to comment. That's actually a live broadcast, so you'll definitely be able to comment and talk to us, give us your opinions there. So make sure you join us. But overall, just make sure you continue to join us on the Tuesdays for the live broadcast. Join us on the weekends when we do the podcast. And we are thinking about bringing a music battle back. We haven't done one in about a year or two.
Done one in a minute.
Yeah, we're going to bring a music battle back. And, make sure you team Calvin. Make sure you team Calvin on the music battles, because I always win. Or at least
championship belt. I need to go ahead and clean it off. It's been a while.
Wait a minute, didn't I get the last championship belt, or did you get the last championship belt? I mean, we're gonna have to look back and see.
I think you rigged the vote. You got the last one. I think, because it was on that yacht ride. You set me up.
No.
You like, oh yeah, go ahead, let's do yacht rock.
Hey, Garland thought he had, so he was like, "You want to do a battle on yacht rock?" I was like, "Sir, hold my beer."
He played the he was like, "Oh yeah, sure. I mean, I can research it." I'm like, "Yeah," because I went to a majority white high school for 2 years. I know this yacht rock stuff. He came, blew me out. He pulled it out.
I was digging deep in them MTV crates, boy. I was like, "Oh, let's go, I was
just like Police and Duran Duran. He went deeper than that. He had Depeche Mode. He had Boy George.
I did have Culture Club in there. I didn't have Depeche Mode, but I did have Culture Club and Boy George. I think I played Karma Chameleon. Karma Chameleon.
Did you have Dexy's Midnight Runners? He had them all.
I did. Come on, Eileen. Oh, I swear I did.
He had them all. I thought I was doing something like, I got the standards. I got Christopher Cross. I got Police. Nah. He went deep cuts.
Hey, man. So I am the reigning champion, but we're going to start fresh. It's going to be 0-0. So make sure you join us for that. Listen out for that announcement. But yeah, in the meantime, we hope you all have a great weekend. Let me play this outro for us. And, hey, Garland, I had a good time again, sir. Hope everything
Happy
goes
birthday,
well. Have a good one, everybody. Later, Garland.
You have been listening to Fanboys, an all things black with Garland and Calvin production. Thank you for listening, and make sure to rate and review this episode on all of your podcast platforms. Hey, Al!